Welcome to Team Perry's Step Out of Line podcast, featuring co-hosts Perry and Lori Finkelstein. Together, they explore, meet, and share inspirational stories with guests who have made a positive impact in today's world. This podcast resonates with our hope to make this world a better place one step at a time through love, acceptance, and uplifting conversations.
With Kelly Midgley, who is now the CEO of Maggie Sottero Designs. And we have to tell you, your gowns are beautiful. And we have a very good friend who's also Perry's physical therapist who wore your gown to her wedding.
Oh, wow.
It was the first dress that she tried on. And she didn't want to commit to it because who buys the first dress that you try on? And every store she went to 4 or 5 stores. She kept seeing the same dress and she kept saying, "This is my dress." And she finally gave into it. She wore it. She was beautiful. And she told us now, just for the heck of it, she's going to put it on New Year's Eve and wear it because she must wear it again. And it made the wedding. It was beautiful. And what she said she loved about it was that it was antique looking, but with a modern twist.
Okay.
So our question to you is, you come from a long line of designers. I believe your grandmother and your mother were in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now are in it and have taken it over. How do you keep it fresh after all these years? And what is the total amount of years that your company has been in business?
Gosh, my family has been in the wedding business, not necessarily Maggie Sottero, but it started back in Australia, where I'm from, with retail stores. And they had bridal retail stores in every capital city there in Australia. And gosh, that was, I'm going to age myself, but that was at least 40 years ago. That started, and then 25 years ago, my mother actually got into designing like herself. So back in Australia, we had other designers' gowns in the retail stores, and then it just grew and grew, and then finally my mother said, "I'm gonna try a few dresses." And 25 years ago, that's how Maggie started. It was just in a little room off the main store there in Sydney, with a few seamstresses and my mother there, and they came up with the Maggie dress, the Maggie fit. Back in the very early times, it was a corset. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but we have lace-up bodices. And it started out with, the bodice and the skirt being 2 separate pieces. And then that worked really, really well in the retail stores in Australia. And it worked so well, she took the risk to bring it worldwide and bring the headquarters here to the USA.
And when did you realize, because I was reading somewhere also that you grew up in the car, you would talk about business. At dinners, you would talk. So it was always, it seems like it always surrounded you. This is what you grew up with.
Yeah, this is what we grew up with. Yeah, we'd, like in the car, it was my grandmother lived with us. So it was my grandmother, my father, my mom, me, my sister, everywhere at the dinner table, on the way to church. I mean, everywhere. It was always, what are we going to do tomorrow? How are we going to handle this? And what about that? It was always about business. And they talked about it around my sister and I all the time. And we felt great about giving our input as well. So definitely have had it all my life and still doing it now.
Did you always want to go into the family business? Was there ever a point where you say, I can't do this, I want to be anything else? No.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard being in a family business, right? My mom and my grandma are very strong women, very, very strong women. And I I'm strong as well. It's a very competitive type nature I think we all have in my family. And sometimes that's difficult. You know, I remember when I was about 14 years old saying, I can run this office better than you can. Let me do it. You know, just very we're just very competitive. We get along great, obviously, but that's just, yeah, we're just strong women, and we're, you know, every chance we get, it's, you know, let's talk to each other, let's see what we can do to improve, let's you know, what are we going to do here, what are we going to do there. We're always continuing to see what the next thing is.
As a strong woman, and I think Perry herself is
very strong.
It's sometimes there's a fine line between being aggressive and being strong, and women maybe are perceived as being aggressive when really they're just doing what they have to do to business. The fact that you're in a family business, would you say that made it a little bit easier, that you didn't butt up against like being dominated by a male patriarchy in your business, and you knew that it was possible for a woman to make it in the business and you had every right to it? I think maybe, did that make it easier for you, that path?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I never saw it any other way that I couldn't do it. And I probably haven't necessarily been in a situation where I wasn't able to do it. So definitely growing up in a business and having my grandmother and my mother as my mentors and my examples, yeah, they did it. They're still doing it, right? They're amazing. So I've never felt that we couldn't do it.
We're talking about stepping out of line. And we spoke to you earlier about how Perry has stepped out of line in her life and pushed herself. And people are amazed at what she can accomplish. But to her, she's just doing what she has to do. You know, she has muscular dystrophy. It doesn't stop her. She has a passion for helping out children with illnesses and cancer. And her own issues have never stopped her. And she's always thinking of the next step. You know, if she has a setback, she always thinks, okay, what can I do now? Can you tell us at any point in your life where you could think where you stepped out of line, and how you approached it, and whether it was a success or failure?
Well, first of all, I mean, Perry, so strong and inspirational. My goodness. You're definitely an inspiration to me, and I'm so happy to meet you and to be interviewed by you. I think this is just amazing, and I feel so privileged. And I hope we can continue to continue our friendship through this. Yeah. For me, doing this interview is actually super intimidating for me. Very intimidating, though you're making it very comfortable for me. Thank you. So just showing up for me is stepping out of my boundaries a lot, especially in this type of situation. You know, going into the unknown is quite intimidating, right? My everyday life, you know, like I said, I've grown up in it. I know exactly what to do. Well, not all the time, but, you know, most of the time, 90% of the time, I know exactly what to do and what decisions to make, and, you know, and how to do everything day to day. And I am not, I don't like to be in front of people. Like I don't like it. It scares me. But since being CEO, this has really made me see that just showing up to situations like this, you know, I feel like I'm doing better than I thought I would. So this is, you know, obviously still growing, still learning, still navigating all of that. But I'm actually quite proud of myself for stepping stepping up and doing it, even though it scares the you know what out of me.
No, it's funny you say that, and I'll let you in on a secret. The reason why I was so happy to start doing interviews with Perry is because she is very shy. And, you know, she's on a ventilator, as you can see, and she has a hard time.
You and me both.
Right, she has a hard time talking in public. And it's very nerve-wracking for her. So when we started doing interviews, I knew that it would bring her out of her shell. And as the progression, as we've been doing, you know, I mentioned we're doing 40 something interviews, I see a change in her. I see that she sees how great it is to be able to relate to everybody. She finds something to relate to. You know, initially when you came on camera and I saw you wearing a beautiful floral top, and I'm thinking, oh, this is so Perry. You know, like she can relate so well to people, and I think she sees it. And I don't think she's intimidated anymore by speaking to somebody that she doesn't know, because she knows, you know, like I always say, you know, Perry, what kind of questions you want to ask? And we go over before the interview, this is what we should find out and this is what we should do. So her importance in advocating for herself, I think, will be increased. She'll understand it better by knowing how she can verbalize and vocalize. So I totally get where you are. And it's awesome because, you know, it's a weird thing, you know, like our first interviews, we were like, oh my God. And now it's like, okay, you know, we've spoken to some really, really
amazing people.
Right.
Yes.
And it's okay. And you just be yourself. And I especially think now, right. Correct. Like the connection, the human connection, there's nothing like the human connection. I think, somebody once told us the best gift you can give somebody is time. So even if you didn't say a word and you go to wherever you have to go to represent as a CEO, the fact that you're giving yourself and the time and you're sitting there and people are like, there she is. I think even if you don't say a word, people are gonna love you just because you give the time, you know, to them. And that's really sweet. So you're doing awesome.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that, because that means a lot to me, right? I'm gonna keep that and put that right here.
Oh, that's great. So I wanna know about the wedding dress designs. You know, I spoke about how your company's been in business for many years, and there's a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of up and coming designers. And do you at Maggie Sottero, do you have a certain look that you constantly saying, this is our look, and this is the brides who like a certain look, this is what they're going to look at? Or are you constantly thinking of new ways and new ways to invent the design?
Always looking for new ways. Always, I mean, it's a balance, right? You don't want to be too avant-garde, you know, otherwise you're not reaching too many brides in what they like, but always looking for that that next trend. Always, you have to keep on top of it, otherwise, you know, you're going to be old in a matter of, you know, a year, right? If you don't keep going. So we've got 3 labels. So we have Maggie Sottero, which is our core label. And Maggie Sottero, the name Maggie Sottero is actually my great grandmother's name, right? So all our labels within our company are family names, which is really special. It just makes it more real, I think. So Maggie Sottero is our core label. It ranges from price from about $1,200 on up to about $3,000. So caters to most brides out there. And for our Maggie label, we look to, I would say, you know, my mother always said, you know, you need to reach 80% of the brides out there, you know, with our look. So we keep it very trendy. We keep it very current. We keep it light and airy. You know, that's definitely one of the trends, is to be light and airy. You know, when Maggie started 25 years ago, our dresses you know, you could do a workout with our dresses. They were so heavy.
Right.
So there's been a lot of evolution, obviously, in the last 25 years. And today's bride likes it very comfortable, likes it very light and airy, and that fit is number one.
And there are many different sizes. I know I got married 30 years ago, and I remember feeling when I tried on my wedding dress and they had to use these big clamping pins on the back of me because my fat was overflowing, or I felt like that. And it was just like so humiliating. I just wanted to be done with it right away. You know, just get out of the store. I didn't feel like beautiful. But I think today's bride, you as a CEO realize that brides are not one size. We're all not size zeros and twos, and you have to fit the normal woman, an average woman. You know, like now you can't cater to the tiny little model. And I think that trend, the fact that you can adjust to a normal woman, you know, all different shapes, all different sizes. I think that's really key in designing for regular, normal people and not just supermodels. So, you know, that's appreciated. Believe me, keep doing what you're doing.
Well, our latest campaign, I'm very, very excited about. We actually used models that were, you know, a size 6, which is, you know, seems to be the norm in the industry. But we went out of the norm, and we have size 14s, we have size 18s, super diverse this season with our campaign and our imagery. And I'm so excited because it's showing all brides, right, what they can look like, not just these size 2s and 4s and 6s, showing all brides, and they look wonderful. I'm super excited about it.
And also little girls growing up who are looking at magazine pictures and looking at these shows that are on TV, and they see a bride who, you know, looks like them, or, you know, looks like what they might look like, or what their mother looks like, is so much more realistic.
Yes.
Than just seeing somebody who is perfect.
Agree.
I know Perry, you know, she's in a wheelchair, and when now I think in some companies they have wheelchair bound models, you know, and models who are in walkers, and every time we see that, I hope one day it won't be something that we have to point out and scream, oh my God, did you see that? It'll just be the norm. Like, oh, look at this, it'll just be so normal. So
yes,
all shapes, all sizes, from all, you know, different worlds. I think it's great that you represent a bride who is everything and not just, you know, one thing. So that I think is pretty awesome.
We'd love to dress you, Perry.
Oh, she would love to be dressed.
We'd love it.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, business-wise? Where do you see the company? You see it growing? Are you happy to be where you are and just keep getting, you know, better? Do you see yourself branching out into anything else?
Definitely don't see ourselves branching out into anything else as of today. That's as of today. I mean, obviously we all know in 2020 things have changed a lot.
Yes.
And decisions need to get changed as well along the way. But yes, of course, we want to reach even more brides. We want more Maggie, Midgley, and Rebecca brides out there. So always looking to see what we can do to get bigger and better, and be able to do that.